Danny, so if someone's new to trail, let's do a little bit of your coaching on the way out here, right? Like someone wants to get into this, they're super inspired, as why wouldn't they be? Not only do they have to do a little bit of training, but they got to, you mentioned a bunch of gear up, right? Like
Yeah.
what kind of kicks are they looking to put on their feet? Um, how do they prepare themselves not to get
That's
destroyed
good.
on the trails? Give us like a little bit of like top three
Intro.
tips. Give me a bit of gear, give me a bit of like prep, and give me a bit of recovery.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for people who are new to trails, and I kind of did this by default, and that was before I had a coach, is going by time first. I think if you're like a track or road runner, your life is dependent on your splits, or you get so used to I run 8 minute pace, I run 7 minute pace, I run 10 minute pace.
Yeah.
The trails, that just goes out the window. And so instead of being like, I'm going to go out for my typical 8 mile run, it's like, just go for an hour. That might be 4 miles on the trails, maybe 6 or 7, 8 if you're like a crusher from the beginning. But just to be nice to yourself in that way. So definitely go for time first. Get yourself a pair of trail shoes. I've taken friends who were very confident in their road shoes on the trails, and it did not turn out well. Even for me when I began, you just really make yourself susceptible to rolled ankles, and you want to try and avoid those bad experiences with the trail at the first hand. Personally, for me, I train in the Hoka Challenger ATRs pretty commonly, and the Hoka Torrents. They're kind of like lower profile shoes, a little lighter. A lot of people like the Speed Goats, but they're a little too heavy for how quick someone may want to try and move through the mountains. So those two. You have to carry your food and your water. I'm a big fan of belts, though I've noticed even like with other women, men tend to like handhelds. I think it's just like an upper body thing. But yeah, so I like belt.
Right.
Yeah.
They're always doing this. Swinging their arms with their big
Just pulling the rope, man. Just like
milking some kind of running cow. Yeah.
milking the sky cow.
Yeah. But anything to carry water, again, trails are just so different. Like, depending on where you live, the altitude variance, your heart works a little bit harder, like, again, going by the time. It's just once you start switching to mileage, you're out there longer. A 16-mile run on the flats is 2 hours, 60 miles in the mountains could be close to 3 hours. Just like that water, and something about pace changing. I scientifically haven't nailed it down, but something about pace changing like definitely messes with like how much food you need and water you need. But yeah, those would be my top tips for sure.